Okay, here I have the Bible in Flemish. I have never studied Flemish. I have never studied Dutch. I don't know how it's pronounced. I am sure it's closer to English than Gothic is by a long shot. If I was going to, start learning Flemish today, and I forgot everything I knew about Gothic, and I would probably learn it a lot faster than I would learn Gothic. I already speak German, which is makes a lot of this look a lot like German, and I can sort of tell what a lot of this is saying, but also not that much. Um, so I'll try to. This is pretty easy. I mean, it's just Best Theophilus, which is a name. In my first book, I have something of Jesus and his teachings, probably, like lessons, and how he went near the heaven. Not at, I don't know. His apostles. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, should I try to pronounce any of this? Probably not. I have, like I said, I've never studied Dutch or Flemish. Don't know. Okay, but this looks a lot like German gegeben. Ich habe gegeben. Um, Maybe this is like durch, like through. I don't think it's door like in English. But who knows? It could be. Um, let's just try pronounce. I'm going to make it. I'm going to butcher this language because I have not looked it up. I've not looked up any of the sounds in the language or how the letters correspond to those sounds. Beste Theophilus, in mijn eerste boek, maybe it's boek, heb ik u verteld over het leven. Oh, that's definitely Leben, like German life. Van Jezus en zijn lessen. En hoe hij naar de hemel ging, nadat hij zijn apostelen verdere Anweisungen door de Heilige Geist had gegeven. Gedurende de 40 dagen na zijn kruisiging, this is obviously crucifixion, is hij van tijd tot tijd bij de apostelen geweest en bewees hun op allerlei manieren dat hij leefde. Telkens weer sprak. And is this a w or is it a v? In German it's a v. I think in Dutch it's just a w. I think so. Maybe it's not. Weer sprak hij met hen over het koninkrijk. Well, this is obviously German. I mean, like the German word Königreich von God. Tijdens en van deze ontmoetingen zei hij dat zij Jeruzalem nog niet, how that's pronounced I couldn't say, but I'll just say it, niet mochten verlaten. Wacht eerst op wat de vader, well this is father, beloofd heeft, zei hij. Is this he or hi? I don't know. Ik heb al verteld wat zal gebeuren. Johannes doopte met water. Maar is this but? Like as in, I don't know. Over enkele dagen zullen Jullie met de Heilige Geest gedoopt worden. Terwijl zij... And I'm barely understanding any of this, just to be clear. So, is Flemish easier than Gothic? If you're just starting out, Flemish is going to be easier than Gothic. You'll learn Flemish faster than Gothic, that's for sure. For someone like me who's already studied Gothic a long time, I would definitely understand almost 100% if it wasn't Gothic. If it was in German, I'd, understand a similar amount, whether more or less. I'm not exactly sure, because most of the stuff I've read in Gothic has been the same stuff, so obviously I understand it better than if I was, when I read something in German, it doesn't tend to be the Bible. There's a lot of stuff in German. There's not a lot of stuff in Gothic. So, I mean, of course I'm going to understand the Gothic better when the only thing to read in Gothic is the Bible. But here's a question. Should you learn Flemish or should you learn Gothic? You should learn the language that you want to learn, is what I'm going to say. Flemish is certainly more useful than Gothic in almost every way. It's hard to point to any reason you would learn Gothic over Flemish. But I like Gothic, and nothing against Flemish. I don't have any particular attachment to it, and it takes a lot of effort to learn a language. Learning a language is a huge investment. It's not something you can just say, oh yeah, I think I'll learn Portuguese. If you want to learn Portuguese, and you really do, and you put a lot of hours of your life into learning Portuguese, eventually you'll sort of understand the stuff that's written in Portuguese. And if you keep on with that, eventually you'll, speak Portuguese mostly okay. And if you practice your pronunciation, eventually you'll sound more or less like someone from Portugal would, or Brazil if you prefer. And that's about true for basically every language. For a language like Gothic, it's going to be a lot harder because you don't have audio clips of native Gothic speakers. Everything you find is going to be by someone who doesn't pronounce it all that well. I would say that I pronounce Gothic better than most people. But that's not really that impressive, considering most people who study Gothic, no offense, but they haven't spent that much time practicing, and a lot of them just pronounce it as in English. Now, I'm not talking about those people who have spent a lot of time practicing their Gothic. There are a lot of people like that, not that many. But if you go to YouTube and you just look up person reading something in Gothic, maybe they're just talking about the Gothic language, and they're not specifically someone who has spent a lot of their time practicing Gothic pronunciation. It's, they might be able to approximate it. I saw one recording where someone, their pronunciation of Gothic was just completely insane. I mean, the problem was they were pronouncing everything as it was written, as it appears to a native English speaker, which is just wrong. Because they basically read, oh yeah, the vowels are, this vowel is pronounced like this vowel in English, this vowel is pronounced like this vowel in English. And so they were, basing it off of that pronunciation guide. But that pronunciation guide wasn't actually very good. So let's see if I can just go to Wikisource. So they were saying something like tones are So I can't even pronounce it as badly as this, as they were, but they were saying like Wainai Namo Thane or something like that, which is just wrong. Or like they my pronunciation isn't perfect, but I'm going to do a lot better than someone who hasn't studied pronunciation and someone who hasn't practiced pronunciation. I'll just pronounce this here while I'm here. Atonsar thu in himinam vichne namothin quimme thiudinasus fiends werthe williathins swe in himina yachana erthe hle unsarana thanasintinan gif uns himmeraga jachaflet uns satis skulans siema swaswe jachwis afletam them skulam unsarem jachne bringes uns in frestuvenje aklosi uns afthama uvelin und Thiena ist Thiudangarde, Jach machts, Jach Wulthus in Ewins. And I made a lot of decisions. Well, I pronounce the Gothic the way I do. So, other people can say, oh, you're pronouncing it terribly. You're pronouncing the E as an A. You're pronouncing the you're pronouncing the I as an A. You're pronouncing the sh as a s. But you know what? Those are intentional decisions. How will I pronounce this? Qua? I don't know because I can't hear the difference. But anyways, if you want to learn Flemish, learn Flemish. If you want to learn Gothic, learn Gothic. Learn whatever language you want to learn. Learning languages is, kind of fun, I'd say.